There were days that I felt like I couldn't do something that I've done for 5+ years because you're just thinking of everything else you have going on. My name is Lalisha. I'm 33 years old and I have one 17-month-old son.
What is it like being a parent?
It is a roller coaster of emotions. It is amazing. It is empowering and beautiful, but it can also be really hard.
Do you know what postpartum depression is?
I do.
Tell me a time where postpartum depression got the best of you.
I think that I definitely had postpartum depression. However, I also think that my postpartum anxiety is actually what is worse for me. I had a baseline level of anxiety prior to having a baby. However, after childbirth, it really skyrocketed. And while I'm doing much better, it has yet to really come back down to that baseline level. So really just anything, like going back to work, for example. I'm a nurse, if you couldn't tell. And I've been a nurse for 9 years. And going back to work, I've literally been working labor and delivery since 2017. Going back to work after like over a year of being home with my baby, experiencing these things, like there were days that I felt like I couldn't do something that I've done for 5+ years. Because you're just thinking of everything else you have going on. And sometimes it feels like unfair in certain ways, right? Because it's like you're struggling with all of this, and then I'm going to work to help people have their babies, right? So it'll sometimes feel like you're in like this alternate universe. Like, is this even real? Like, what is even happening right now? So I will definitely say that I'm still struggling. But that's a little bit of an example, like just feeling so foreign in your own body, in your own space.
How did you feel postpartum anxiety affected your relationship with you and your baby?
I think that I didn't have a problem with bonding with my baby. I never didn't want to take care of him or wanted to harm him. I luckily didn't have any of those thoughts. But sometimes when I'm stressed out, especially because it's like having a child, like everything changes. In the beginning, I used to have these thoughts of like, oh my God, like it's not that I regret my child. It's not like I don't love my child, but like, did I kind of, I don't want to say destroy my life, but it's like I was already kind of, trying to get things on track, and then it's like now you have this whole other focus, and everything that you worked so hard to do is kind of like on the back burner. It's hard. It truly is.
Do you feel like you suffer most in silence, or are you vocal?
I'm definitely vocal. Being a labor and delivery nurse, I luckily have labor and delivery nurse friends, so I never felt alone or like people didn't understand or anything like that. My partner definitely understood as well. So I would say that I was more vocal, and it was definitely helpful. But the craziest part is, even with the best support in the world, it still doesn't change how you feel. Wow, some people have no support and they're struggling and they're suffering, and it's like I have all this support and I'm still struggling. So sometimes in some ways it can make you feel even weaker. And we're not weak, but again, some of us, you have these feelings when you're feeling this way, and it's like, especially with the help, especially to not be doing bad and still have these feelings, you feel even worse about yourself, if that makes sense. And you have to kind of remind yourself, like, regardless of what the situation is, you're a human too, and it's okay. You can have all the help in the world. That doesn't change, these thoughts in your head that tell you, like, are you gonna hurt your baby? Is your baby being hurt right now? Like, what's going on? Is everything gonna be okay? Are you gonna get back on track with your career? Like, just all the thoughts. It doesn't stop it no matter how much support you have. And I think that's the part that was kind of like, oh my God, like, it's terrifying a little bit.
What things about you changed after having a child?
I would honestly go as far as to say everything. I don't think the same at all. I don't have the same interests. I don't have the same desires. I don't necessarily know if all of it is having a child. I mean, some of it could just be getting older. Like, I'm in my 30s now. Naturally, things change over time. But I will say that you have a level of if you have a level of intention where you really want to spend all your time with your family and really like pour into your child, someone like me who is just like going a mile a minute and has so much going on, and it's like I'm trying to start a business and then I'm trying to work full time and then I have to be intentional with my baby and I'm looking at these developmental milestones and I'm trying to really give him that love and care and that one-on-one nurture, and it's like that already what I just said and make time for my partner. Now I have to add friends and I have to try to have a social life. And quite honestly, I still haven't been able to figure out how to do it all. Like, there's times that I won't be able to answer my text messages for literally months. And it's not because I don't want to, but it's literally like I have so much going on. I don't have the time to sit there and like just be on my phone. I barely go on social media. I barely because it's just like I'm always doing something, and as I'm sure you can imagine, it gets exhausting.
Would you have another child?
I want to say yes, but definitely not anytime soon. It would at least be a few years because I definitely want to make sure that I'm in a good place, right? I feel like being a nurse, you know all these statistics and you know all these things, and it's like people with anxiety or depression or bipolar disorder or any type of mental health disorder, like you're 20 times more likely to experience something even worse or for the first time in postpartum. On top of that, it's like just regular major depression, according to the American Psychiatric Academy, is like between 20 to 29 is the first time that some people even experience depressive symptoms for the first time, and that's a lot of time that people have babies as well. So it's just really interesting, like that you're trying to, how often it can happen, but it's still like, oh my god, did this really happen to me? If that makes sense.